Well, let's take a look at what is happening in the markets. And of course, it is the last day of trading for November. A month that has been very, very strong. Of course, some major events that investors are keeping an eye on are COP28 that is taking place in Dubai. And also related to that is the meeting that is to take place for OPEC, that is the oil producing nations. Locally, we did get some economic data out with the producer price index coming out and showing the same trend that consumer inflation showed about 2 weeks ago. And that is an uptick to 5.8% from 5.1% the previous month. We are seeing a sea of green over there as the JSE ends off actually the month of November on a high note with the all share up almost 0.4%. We are seeing the industrial 25 over there carrying most of those gains, advancing more than 0.8%. Financial 15 also there with a gain of more than 0.1%, and the resources 10 complex advancing more than 0.1%. Let's check in on Wall Street, and on that front, we also have seen those markets on a pretty high note, except for the tech-heavy Nasdaq that actually got quite a big boost this month, particularly from the counter in Nvidia. And of course, we also did get the PCE inflation print, that is the Fed's preferred measure of inflation, coming out today, showing the same trend as consumer inflation earlier on this month, and that did show inflation accelerating 3.5% year on year. That came in line with market expectations. Of course, tech-heavy Nasdaq being the only one in the red over there, declining more than 0.33%. S&P 500 relatively flat, just 0.02% above that flat line, and the Dow carrying most of those gains. They're up more than 0.75%. Let's check in on what is happening with markets across the Atlantic. And on that front, we did also get some economic data coming out of there. The Eurozone inflation for November preliminary inflation data, rather surprising to the downside, easing to 2.4% from 2.9% in October. Also did get Europe's biggest economy, Germany, there coming out with retail sales, surprising to the upside in October, rising 1.1% from the previous month. Those markets there in a sea of green. FTSE 100 up almost 0.2%. The CAC 40 advancing more than 0.6%, and the DAX climbing more than 0.33%. Let's take a look at what is happening on the currency scene, and we start off with how the rand is doing against some of the major currencies. Some weakness coming through to the rand today. 18 rand 86 against the US dollar, 23 rand 86 against the pound, and 20 rand 58 against the euro. Let's check in on how the other currency pairs are doing, starting off with the euro dollar at 1.09, pound dollar at 1.26, and the yen just above 148 against the US dollar.